this is one of the big questions that we always get. Mr. Mitchell, what's IB? Is it better to do IB over SACE? Is IB giving you any extra bonus? That's the question, right? So what's your thought on this?
So IB, the bit of research I did a while back that I was curious about was IB was first come up as an idea of the United Nations as a way of offering a program globally for developing countries to aim to develop their educational systems. It's been picked up and expanded a bit more than that. It is a method of achieving a score for university entry which can be recognised internationally. Having said that, if that's the main advantage of it, your SACE score, your ATAR score, sorry, is still recognised internationally. There will be variations between universities, and I believe in England they're very much hung up on an IB score. However, I have a young man who's with us this year. We're helping him get into MIT in America. It's one of the greatest universities in the world. He completed an ATAR score through SACE. So the biggest difference for students, if you're studying here in Australia, IB does not really offer you any great advantage. Has a very different study structure. There's a lot more workload required of you, and it's a little bit more stringent about the freedom of subject choices that you can make. So with SACE, you have your strengths and weaknesses, and you can tailor the courses you take towards that. Whereas IB is very restrictive. So if you're not strong in math or one particular science subject that you must cover in IB, that could damage your score a little bit. There are advantages in IB, particularly if you're looking to go overseas. But if you're here to study in Australia, there's no huge advantage. Particularly, I want to say, doing the IB course, and I want to make this very clear, does not give you an advantage to enter any degree in any university in Australia, in particularly medicine. It will not give you an advantage. An IB grade is out of 45, and that will be converted to an ATAR ranking. And I think it was 2 years ago, they did make it now that to get a perfect ATAR ranking for applying to universities in Australia, you have to get a perfect IB score.
That's really hard.
It's much harder to get a perfect IB score. The work they do is not more difficult, but the volume and the rigidity of the course makes it more difficult to do, more challenging to do. And there's that extra requirement of the global mindedness in their thinking.
So in general, Year 12 students in SACE course, they will probably do 4 subjects in Year 12.
Exactly.
And IB, they got to do 6.
They got to do 6.
So it's just unnecessary.
And they have
to be honest,
they don't have a choice over the 6 subjects. They have very little choice over the 6 subjects that they do, and how they actually
yes. And we did call universities to make it sure that there is no extra bonus or anything from IB. No. There isn't.
In fact, it seems to be the percentage of students who are in med school match the exact percentage. There's about 95% of students do SACE across the country, or across the South Australia, I should say, and about 5% do IB, and you get the same representation in med schools, about 95.5. So there's no advantage. And there is also just the logic that the SACE course or the VCE or HSE around Australia, whatever course has been designed by the schools in Australia, that course matches or prepares students best for university life in Australia. So particularly if you're looking at entering a university anywhere in Australia, I'd strongly recommend the SACE course as not just your method of entry into university, but also as a preparation for university life after.
This is another question, common question. Paul,
yeah.
Mr. Mitchell, so if 70% in SACE is internally assessed, isn't it better for my child to go to one of the bad schools? It's hard to say what bad school is, but poorly performing school and trying to be number 1. Okay, so what's your thoughts?
There are 2 trains of thought here. I've heard from parents, like you said, there's the idea that, well, perhaps we should take my child to a school that performs a lower level, and my child will stand out as the best amongst those students. That won't actually help because your child's not being compared to the students in your school. Your child's being compared to the students across the state. The other train of thought is that because 70% is marked internally, perhaps we should make sure we go to the best school in Adelaide because that will have the best grading. The truth is, once we get to year 12, whether it's a good school, a rich school, or a poor school, it doesn't matter. It's all monitored very strictly by the SACE board. Teachers can have their students' work asked to be sent in, and the grading check. So the standard of grading, the standard of work, it is not going to change from one school to the other. It is true in a very practical and real sense that it doesn't matter how much money a school has. It's to do with the staff that work there. Choosing the school can be a very personal choice for families. My recommendation to all my Year 12 students once they start is it doesn't matter what school you go to, your job this year is to study that material that the SACE board have dictated you must learn and achieve those standards that the SACE board have dictated you must achieve. The school will not play a role in that. I'm going to say this: if you feel your school doesn't do the best teaching, and we will make up for that difference. My staff and I will give the students that edge that perhaps the school doesn't provide.
As far as I know, that course is for someone who is not aiming to really high ATAR, because that doesn't really give you great scores, but it does help a lot of other people. Okay. So can you briefly explain how that works?
Yeah, so there is an option if you do a Certificate 3 VET course that can help you. If you bombed in one topic, you can have that removed, and your VET the score you obtain for that VET score can be replaced. So let's say you had disastrous 50, you did a VET 3 a Cert 3 course, then you could replace that 50 with the score that they award you for that. However, look, a lot of students, even the students I predict will get perfect ATARs, run off and do a Cert 3 VET course early in or some stage during year 11 or the summer holidays, and it's not going to hurt them. They feel that little bit of security.
There is an example. If you want to
However, if you look at this example, if you go straight to the bottom, the Cert 3 in hospitality, 20 credits, fixed scaled score of 78. So if you have a look at the biology score, was the lowest score in this student's total, we can have that biology score replaced with the Cert 3, 78. So our top 4 scores are now 90, 85, 80, and rather than 75, 78. And that extra 10 credits would be half of the biology course. So as you can see, it's made a small difference to in this particular case. My personal experience, we did have a student who was only aiming for an 80 ATAR. She didn't quite get there. She did a Cert 3. She was able to apply that, and she achieved an 88 ATAR in the end. So yeah, I would say, if in all seriousness, if you're looking at medicine or one of the more competitive engineering courses, you're not going to use this.
No.
Look, doing a Cert 3 in some skills is not going to hurt anyone over the summer holidays, and it does make some students feel a little bit better, less anxious. It's not going to be a bad thing, but it's not going to make or break your scores to enter into university.